Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Board Viking channel. Today I've got Apeish on with me. He says hello. You can see him on your screen, I think. I hope.
What?
There he is. And frankly, let's start from the beginning. I love you. I respect you. And if I have to, I will protect you with a couple of exceptions. One, Charles Gasparino, suck it. Ken Griffin, suck it. Jim Cramer, suck it. I could list. Oh, Jim Chanos, definitely. Suck it. Anyway, so I brought Apish on today, frankly, because after being on a couple of space calls and kind of hearing his take on things, I think he's got a real good finger on the pulse of the entire concept behind why we're doing this right now, why we buy, why we hold AMC, and I just got excited after talking to him for a little while about some of the information that he has and how he's able to represent that in a way that remains respectful to everybody but the few people that I mentioned at the beginning here. So, so let's start from the beginning. Apeish, tell us
Yeah,
your Twitter handle because I don't know it.
Citizens Lab. So Citizens Lab is something that I want to do in the future. It's kind of like a citizens-based science lab. So I've been working on this plan for years. It's one of those things that when I run into enough ability, I'll create a citizens lab. Essentially, what we want to do is have a lab where citizens can actually go. So without the introduction of government. So right now, if you want to do stuff like run DNA sequencing or have any of the time on all of these medical equipment. And I'm not a doctor nor a scientist in any matter, but what I do know is that the entire industry is rife with time slots, and you need to do this and you need to do that. So my idea for the future would be to have a lab where people can go in, fill in a time slot for free, and use whatever equipment would be available to them. So I started off just by making my Twitter handle Citizens Lab, and we'll work from there.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's a
I,
pretty cool idea.
yeah, I like that a lot. Oh, and since we're doing disclaimers, neither of us are financial advisors. At least I'm not. Are you? Are you a financial advisor, Abish?
I am definitely not a financial advisor, not
Okay,
in any way, shape, or form.
so since that's out of the way, uh, any information that we provide today that leads you to make a decision, you made that decision on your own, and we didn't. We we it was not because of the advice that we provided, because we are not providing advice.
No, just analysis. That's all I would hope to do.
Just a little bit of analysis, a little bit of psychology, and that's kind of where I wanted to start today. Is the psychology of where we are right now. Um, we've been doing this for a long time now, a lot longer than a lot of us expected to be doing it.
Yeah, but
Um,
well, I'm in about 8 months now, 9 months, something like
yeah,
that.
me too.
No.
So I know that my average cost per share has gone up dramatically over the course of the last, you know, 6 7 months, but it's still pretty low. So I think my level of tolerance for swings up and down is pretty high because it's going to take a lot for me to get below where my original buy-in was because I
What
saw
would,
it early.
if you don't mind sharing, what was your original buy-in? Like, what did you get in at?
My average until about May was about $6 a share.
Yeah, see, I got in at about $8 a share. Well, I bought some at 5, and then I bought a whole bunch at 13, and then 8, and so I sat at about an 8 average. Now I'm sitting around a 13 average because I keep buying up in the. I bought a whole bunch up in the 60s. Ooh, hurt my
Right.
averages.
Well, and at the end of the day, the price is psychological, right?
Well, and so there it is, right? Like, I at first I was like, oh, if I can average down, that's going to make me feel better, like as if I like shiny things or whatever. Nope, didn't make me feel any better. But yeah, once you get over the initial, oh, that hurts, you start to realize how psychological it is, right?
Yeah. Yep. And that's kind of where I've been. I've got, and I'm not going to tell anybody how many shares I have because it doesn't matter. But let me just say that some of these days that things are looking a little rough, there's some big ass swings. There
Mm-hmm.
are some significant swings.
Yeah.
And at this point, I've learned to just stop paying attention. You know, anytime I start feeling like, oh, look at what I'm down today, I don't care anymore.
Well, and
I've
one of the
done this
reasons,
long enough, you know.
one of the reasons I started looking into the psychology of it all was actually those big swings. I remember the first day when it ran up to 72 there, that first day of like, 100%. We're looking
Right.
at it, and I was obviously there was me and a couple of other people I invest with. We're all on the phone together, and we're talking like crazy. We're like, "Oh man, look how high this is going! Look at," and then all of a sudden it started swinging down. And I remember us all sitting there on the phone, and we're like, "Anybody else down like $10,000 in the last 40 minutes? Has anybody else ever? Has that ever happened to you before?" And this was, I would have to say, um, the apex of just like psychological fear as to where the stock was going for me. I was like, oh no, maybe everybody was wrong. And it was like, oh, it got me worried. But all these, what really did it was all these spaces, Twitter, Isaiah's Discord. I don't know if anybody out there listens to or is on that Discord, but you get in there with all those other apes and kind of smartens you up. Like, oh, okay, no, these guys know what we're talking about.
Right. Right.
But yeah, never felt that before.
You know, one of the things that I think got me uh, prepared for the stress of investing in the stock market in general is, and I commented about it on Twitter the other day. I read a book by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living.
Yeah,
And there's an example in the book where he talks about he talks about this guy that was working as a sales representative for an organization, and they were selling some kind of like experimental product that he went and got this product sold to this company, and he had a whole lot of fear and every day just stress because this experimental product could fail, and they could have to return the thing, and he'd get charged back on his commission, and
yeah,
or worst case scenario is he gets fired because and Dale Carnegie kind of went down this list of questions like, well, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that can happen? Well, I
yeah,
could lose my job, right? Okay. Well, what happens if you lose your job? Well, I guess I'd have to go get another job. Okay. You have the skills required to go find another job with roughly the same pay? Yes. So even if you got charged back this commission that you got paid, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You'd survive. You'd have a roof over your head. And you'd have food on the table. Well, yeah, I would. Okay, so you're prepared for the worst case scenario. So why are you worrying?
yeah.
And
Yeah, well, and I think one of my favorite quotes was worrying about something that hasn't happened yet, or worrying about something that has happened, means you're only going to worry about it twice. So worry about it once. Worry about it when it happens once, and then don't worry about it again.
well,
So whether it's in the past or in the near future, just kind of let it happen when it happens, right?
and that's one of the things that I think about, right? Is let's say some catastrophic thing happens, some catastrophic, chaotic, oh my god moment does come to fruition where the stock ceases to exist and I've lost all of my money. Okay.
Highly unlikely, but yeah.
Am I
Okay.
gonna die? No. You know. Am I gonna be living under a bridge? No. But
So one of the way me and my wife approach it is like I always say, like, oh, I'm going to be putting a little bit more onto this or this stock or that, and she's like,
right.
oh, okay, sure. And then when it got to the point where I had a lot, I was like, oh, do you know how much is in here now? And she's like, well, because admittedly, I'm holding more in stocks now than I think I've ever held.
Right.
Um, so I was like, do you know how much is in there now? And she's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I was like, oh, you're not worried? Like I was worried she was getting upset with me, and I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and all the discords and be like, oh, my wife's getting really mad at me, and um, I was worried that if I told her how much it was, she would get really mad at me. And so I tell her, she's like, I don't care, actually. She's like, I consider that money spent. Like, it's gone. And so until you decide to sell, and she's right. And it's funny because everybody's talking about, you haven't lost a dollar until you sold, or you haven't earned a dime until you sold, right?
Right.
So, yeah, without having ever touched the market, she was already on board with that game plan, which was fascinating to me. Because, it could have went the other way. Like, how much? And you haven't sold yet? Like, yeah.
Well, it was kind of the same thing with my wife, and my wife is the mama ape as far as I'm concerned at this point. Because when she asked me one day, she's like, "Hey man, can we go spend like $1,000 on this thing?" And I said, "I don't think we could do that right at the moment. I mean, could we? Yeah, but no." And she said, "What? Why?" She was
I thought you
baffled.
had all this money.
Yeah, and I said, oh, all right, I got to show you something. I just kind of did it without talking to her because I was seeing a swing that day,
Yeah.
and she's when I showed her and I kind of explained what I perceived to be reality, um, she says, "Oh, okay." And then I wake up the next day and she's bought like 150 shares, and you
Yeah.
know, she's all over it now with what she because she's an investor. I mean, that's what she does. My wife is disabled, so she spends 23 hours a day in the bedroom, and she's watching stocks and watching charts, and she's got a couple of filters
Yeah.
set up so that she can get an idea of where things might be going, and she's rather good at it.
Oh, I
You
wish my
know,
wife would get into it. I've been trying to convince her. Well, she did get into it. She has bought a few shares of both the mimetic stocks now, but it took forever. I couldn't get her to. She couldn't care less until a certain moment. And you know what it
right,
was is the so I'm Canadian and we have what's called Well Simple here. So if you refer somebody to buy stocks, you get a free stock, right? And it's
right,
essentially a lottery. So if you send them an invite, they click it, they deposit $100, you get whatever stock you get. I think she ended up getting like a $12 stock or whatever. But now she's got like $112 in there. I'm like, well, you should probably buy with that. And then I told her, the meme stocks, and so now she has it. But other than that, she doesn't. She's not like me for the first. And maybe you were the same way when this all first started taking off. Like this was me all the time. I'm just looking at this like,
yep,
every day. I'm updating, updating,
yep,
updating,
yep,
and it started to tear away at a lot of things like work, obviously, right? I'm at work thinking about like today could be the day. And I'm sure many apes have went through this too, but
yeah,
psychologically speaking, it was taxing, to say the least. It was taxing, right?
yep. And,
And I
and you
think,
know, same thing for me, right? Is I used to spend I literally like 4 or 5 hours a day just staring at my phone,
yep,
watching every little penny up and down, and I got to a point where it was like this is consuming my life,
yeah, quite
and
literally,
and it's important to me, because I want things to go down the way that we all kind of think and know it's going to go down. But when it happens is irrelevant at this point.
yeah,
Um, and
getting
when I
numb,
yeah, and when I look at this now, and when I start when I log into one of my now like four different accounts that I hold that I hold AMC stock in, I've gotten to a point where it's just like, why do I bother?
yeah.
I'm gonna set an alert for a
Oh man,
hundred dollars.
took me so long to get on those alerts. Everybody kept telling me, but I'm like, but then I won't be checking it, and I want to be checking it, right?
I don't.
No,
I
yeah.
set an alert for like $50 and $100 and two hundred
Oh,
dollars, and
how was your day when all the alerts were hit? Just
it
because
was hilarious.
I set like 5 or 6 price points on the way up, and I remember I was sitting. Where was I? I was at work, and I think I had in the background the Matt Kors stream, and he had said during the $72 run up, he's like, "Oh, it's just a watch party now," and I remember going, "What do you mean it's just a watch party?" And I look over at my phone that I had set up there too, and it's doot 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 doot, and it just keeps going up and up. I'm like, the feeling there, I was like, "Is today the day? Like, is it now?" And again, having never exercised a short squeeze like this, um, you don't know, and like you get really
Yeah.
upset, like whoosh, emotions every single direction, which I think is actually we were talking a little bit before the podcast here. Um, Something that we should address for other apes to listen to is this is going to get probably a little more worse before it gets any more better, right? Um, and I think we had alluded to it earlier. Everything that's being done on the financial side of the hedge funds and the market makers and the apes as well, everything is psychological from one point to another. And
Yep.
we set it up with. I kind of talked to earlier too about this of the bots that come out on YouTube. So all these bots come out. This was the first like obvious tactic they were using to try and demoralize the group, as it were. And I think what that was, I don't think it was much of a play. And this is all speculation, by the way, for anybody listening. We have no insider information. We're not experts in all the tactics they're using, but this is all speculation. I think what they did was they made an obvious statement with those bots, saying like, "Yes, here's what we're doing. You guys know you're under attack," and
Yeah.
uh, it's a divide and conquer tactic, right? If we
Yep.
divide them and let them know that you guys are officially under financial attack, well, then we might feather out some paper hands, right? So I think that was just the start of it.
Well, what's weird for me is that prior to that $72 run up, you know, which feels like it was a really long time ago.
It does now, yeah.
It was 2.5 months ago. But
Yeah.
as I sat there watching that, I was kind of the other way. I wasn't excited at all. In fact, I looked at my wife, and she looked back at me, and she says, "This is the fake squeeze, isn't it?" And I said, "This is the fake squeeze."
Yeah. Felt like it. Felt like it. You weren't wrong because at the time it was the biggest we had had yet. So
And
you weren't wrong technically.
and I sat there and well, I mean, it was the fake squeeze, right?
Yeah.
It was the paper handshaking squeeze to say how many people can we get out of this stock at as low as we can possibly get it. And I got to be honest with you, based on what I saw that day, they shook a lot of people out.
Oh, I imagine so. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
probably 2,000 Twitter followers that haven't posted a tweet in 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So that kind of answers my question.
Well, and that's the thing too is you can question your your resilience to this kind of price action in those moments, because when you see your bank account or your portfolio rather
Yep.
start to resemble phone numbers, no matter
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
And everybody keeps saying, I'm in this for life-changing money. I'm in this for life-changing money. Well, to a lot of these people, and I don't blame these guys for selling. Like, I know there's a lot of people, don't paper hand, don't be a little bitch, don't be a Portnoy. Fine, that's great. But the other thing, you have to understand with some of these people is they put in maybe $100 when it was $5 and that's all they had, or maybe they put in 200 and that's all they had. And again, not trying to say you should paper hand, but to them, $10,000 was life-changing money,
Yeah.
And so they got what you're looking for. It's just their dollar number was much smaller. And so I don't blame them. I'm glad I wasn't part of that group. I mean, they
Me
made more
too.
money than I currently have in the stocks now, mind you, if they sold at the peak at 72. But I don't blame them because life-changing money. That's what everybody's in this for. And for some people, $1,000 is life-changing. So yeah, I don't really blame them. I can't. And
Well,
I don't understand. The ethos has like this narrative, like don't sell, don't sell, don't sell, and I'm part of that. I will definitely not sell. But,
and I won't either. But I'm going to tell you right now that if I was in this same scenario 7 years ago, when here, let me share a little reality of my life.
sure.
I have a bipolar 20-year-old daughter, and I don't say bipolar as in like an insult. She's legitimately bipolar.
Yeah, it's the
And
pendulum swings. Yeah.
and it's and she went through some serious like legal trouble in general that I mean I'm almost embarrassed to even tell anybody. It was bad.
Yeah.
And I had a decent job at the time, but the legal issues were becoming a thing. Her having the issues that she was having, at 13, 14 years old, it was stifling. It was soul crushing. And at the end of the day, I was living in Denver, Colorado at the time, and my wife said, "Look, I got to go back to Vegas because that's where the family is, that's where the friends are." We moved to Colorado for the job that I took, and I said, "Go back." And I sent them every dime that I could possibly, every dime that I had, and I was sleeping in my car in the parking lot I was a branch manager at a pretty big company, and I was literally sleeping in my car, and I would stay in the office as long as I could, and then go to Planet Fitness in the morning and take a shower, and then go right back to work, right? And I'll tell you right
I never
now,
had to sleep in my car, but I can imagine it's not.
it was
not
awful,
fun. Yeah.
but that was what we had to do at the time to make sure that my wife and my kids had a roof over their head. Myself be damned, because whatever, right?
That's what dads do.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So if you had at that time said, here's $5,000 that you can use to get a roof over your head and, whatever you need, that would have been life-changing money for me at the time.
Oh yeah, me and my wife, when we first got together, for family religious reasons. I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form, but her side of the family was, and for reasons that are complicated by family. So as not to upset family members, we decided to live apart, and so we're paying double rent, and we're
Yep.
paying and anyway, at that time, if you would have told me during those like this is when ramen was like, oh, this is going to be a good lunch. Why? Because I got pepper in it, or in some butter, you know. And I was working for a repo company. Like I would go and like take people's TVs and stuff, and
Right.
if they had cars, and so I was working for them, and it didn't pay much. But yeah, if you would have gave me $5,000 then, I would have I would have thought you were a sign from above. Just what? Now, I mean, not only because of inflation, but that those $5,000 swings because of AMC specifically, I'm
Right.
numb. Like that's okay. Yeah, I lost $3,000 today, but tomorrow I'll get five. So
Right.
yeah, you get numb now. And like I never thought I would have achieved that mental callousness, right? So
Well, and I'll tell you, man, I have I have gone leaps and bounds beyond where I was 7 years ago, and that was before AMC. You know,
yeah,
I've made a lot of money in the past couple of years. I'm a salesperson professionally. That's what I do. And anybody who knows, you know what the highest paid profession in the world is? Sales.
yes,
It's not being a doctor. Sales.
yep.
You know, and what's weird about me is that I'm an honest salesperson, which drives people bonkers.
I think so you're sparking a memory here. I think Warren Buffett says something to that degree too. Like
Probably.
if you wanted to make money, get into sales first, something like that. But yeah,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's a consensus that sales makes the most money. Yeah.
Well, like last year, I don't really want everybody to know everything about me, but
Yeah.
there's we resell a particular product that a lot of people sell, and last year I was the number one salesperson of that product in the entire country.
Nice.
And when they came to me and said, "Hey, we were going to give you this award, what's your secret?" I said, "Tell the truth." Right?
Honest sales.
And he's like, "What?" And I said, "People know what they want. You ask them what they want. You give them a price for what they want, and let them say yes or no."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Is that seriously?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's it. That's all there is to it."
Yeah, it's
Can
amazing
you?
how much you can get done just telling people the truth. Well, and I mean, it kind of comes back to AMC too in this full swing of things. Like telling people the truth allows you to make clear decisions, and we're
Yep.
getting nothing but lies from the side of it. And I'd mentioned this in the space last night because I think it's a really important psychological standpoint for people to stand from, and that is that if you right now go and Google all of the active militaries in the world,
Yep.
you will find that I think it's India, the USA, and China. Those are the top three.
Yep.
And go see how many actively deployed military they have. And the apes, if the numbers are correct, if we're 4.5 to 5 million apes out there, well, then we are now larger than I think the top three combined deployed militaries. So we are, in essence, a financial military. And that has got one side of this story really scared. And it ain't the apes, right? So if the hedge funds, and I don't know which ones because we're hearing different news. Like Citadel's not even the biggest holder of shorts against AMC. There's many others involved, but regardless of which one it is, they're terrified because they literally have a standing financial militia in front of them. As far as they're concerned, I wouldn't represent ourselves as that because
Right.
that's, that sounds
Right.
tyrannical to some degree. But what I would see on their side of it is, yeah, we have a financial militia going against us, and it's not one side's right and the other side's wrong. It's they are performing, or rather exercising, tactics that the market allows them. And we are exercising tactics that the market allows us. And so it's what side of tactical allowances is gonna uh, prevail, I guess. We don't know which one's gonna happen. So the best thing they can do is start approaching us with a psychological warfare mindset. And so those bots, like I said, started it. That was the divide and conquer as far as I could tell. Because they put out those bots and then we realized right away that, oh yeah, no, we're now a party to some sort of psyops, for lack of a
I'm
better
going
term.
to tell you something that bothered me about those bots, though.
What's that?
It was so transparent.
Yeah, but I
It
think that
was.
was intentional. I think that was intentional.
You think
It's
so? Okay.
yeah, I do, because I think it was one of those like, look what we can do, and they can't trace it back to us. And somebody was doing it. Okay, so it's alleged that the hedge funds were allegedly the hedge funds are doing it, but we know somebody's doing it. Somebody's benefiting from that, right?
Well, I'm
And
going to tell
so,
you something because this part pissed me off more than a little bit, right? One of those big, string of bot attacks
yeah,
was all of the names associated with that were people that were killed in the massacre that happened in my city.
the Vegas shootings there.
The
Yeah.
night that I was driving around picking up people off the strip and taking them somewhere safe because of all of that was going down. And I want to know who the absolute piece of garbage was that decided we're going to take this list of people that died in a horrible attack, and it almost felt like a threat.
Well, it's just dirty.
It
It's
felt
dirty,
like a
right?
threat.
Yeah. Like, look what we can do, and salt to the wound. But yeah, it was dirty.
And by the
It was
way,
a dirty
these are people that got shot and died.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
and so again, divide and conquer. That's one way to do it. Divide us, and then we start fighting. We start getting angry. And it's funny, and I'm sure you guys have all watched the YouTubers that do it. One of my favorite quotes is from Wrench Capital, and he says, don't trade with your emotions. And
Right.
this is them trying to ignite emotions. Now, who is they? We don't know, but they definitely are trying to ignite an emotion, and that
the
emotion
air
is
quotes
anger.
they. The air
Yeah,
quotes
because as soon as we start getting radical, and then this is the whole thing about these legal cases we see keep popping up. I mean, everybody can do whatever they want, but I'm staying so far away from any of that because once you start acting out of like, oh, I'm virtuous and I have a principle. Look, we're filing the right thing and we're filing a lawsuit. We're doing this. Now you're taking active measures through a legal proceeding that kind of exemplifies collusion. Like to me, it doesn't look like that's a
Right.
smart way to go at all.
And it looks like bait to me. That's the
It is
part
bait.
that bothers me.
And that's where I stand. It's baity. It's very baity. I don't know.
And that's the part that gets me. It's I didn't do this I didn't do this just for myself. I did this for the entire ape nation. Bro, I don't need you
Yeah,
to
virtue
do
signaling.
anything on my behalf.
Yeah.
I don't need you to do anything on my behalf. And don't let me into it. And I'll tell you, I got a little bit of heat from people in my DMs and even in responses when I said the other day, you didn't do this on behalf of me.
Yeah.
And they're like, you didn't even mention you by name. Why'd you even bother? Because I want it known out. I want it known that I had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't make this decision. You do whatever you want to do. You want to go file a lawsuit. That's on you. And I hope you win.
Who has the time? Like
And I hope you win.
Sure, I like the stock, but who has the time? I got kids and stuff to do and a job, and like, who has the time to go file legal proceedings and go to court all for probably? And if you think for 1 second, whoever's doing all of this, deviousness, doesn't have the smarts to cover their tracks, I mean, you're in for a bigger fight than you think you're in for if you're going to go for a legal case. That's just ridiculous, as far as I'm concerned.
And I'll tell you, just from a psychological perspective, when I looked at it, it's like handwritten. It wasn't even typed up. The handwriting looked like it, from a fourth grader.
And like, if I'm not mistaken, one of the words were like they went down the
it was the amount.
box.
It was
like,
the amount. It's $1.7 million.
It was like his 4-year-old dragging his paper away from him as he was writing it. Like,
And
no.
and I'm looking at that going this and from a Twitter account that has 5 tweets that was started last month.
Yeah,
it's
bait.
weird. It's
Bait.
weird.
Definitely.
And I think I referenced this on the space call that I was on with you that day, but Robert Cialdini wrote a book called Persuasion, and what he talks about in that book is mind blowing. And by the way, I don't get paid anything for telling you this. If you read that book, it opens up your eyes to so much stuff that you never would have thought about. Right?
Well, that's like right now I'm reading on a whole bunch of stuff on like game theory and how they apply to markets and so on. And man, there's just so much you can read about this whole financial structure. And like you try and I'm the type of person where if I'm over inundated with hobbies. I play guitar. I film stuff. I like doing these kinds of things with people.
Right.
I got lots of stuff plus my job and kids. So I'm over inundated with hobbies. The problem I have is when I go to read things, you realize just how vast everything is. Well, so for the most part, you can get things like you want to learn how to play the keyboard or something, you can get a book that shows you, some hand signals. You want to learn how to ice skate, there's somebody that can show you the physical principles and so on. You want to open up a book to the market, get ready, because there is so much. Like, you open up the book and like, oh, this is now a forever hobby. Like, it's not something I'm going to be able to do for a couple of years and call it quit. This is a forever hobby now. And then add in all this psychological warfare they're pulling on us. It's like, oh, so now there's a whole dynamic that's not even written down. And we have to kind of figure that out and tread those waters lightly as we can.
Well, there's a specific part of this book that really got me, right?
Which was that?
So, and the whole book is just absolutely amazing. But you know how people pretty consistently will tell you, it's, as soon as I said this thing, my phone is listening to me and the NSA is paying attention to everything I'm doing because I said that I like dog whistles, and then suddenly I'm getting ads for dog whistles.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What this book talks about.
I think that's common knowledge now. That's like, we know this now, that they do that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there was like a release. Anyway.
But what Cialdini is saying is it's not that your phone is listening to you. It's that they have gotten so good at predicting what you're going to be thinking about, and at the time that you're going to be thinking about it, that is why you got the ad. Not because it was listening, but because it knew that about this time you were going to start thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, so me and my wife were looking at a new car right now because I have a truck, but the can't fit the car seats for the kids in it. And it's like an old, it's a 1992 GMC Sierra. Old as hell, but I'll never get rid of it. Right. Not until it breaks, until it stops working. But anyway, so the kids can't travel in that, and then we have an SUV. But when my wife goes to work, I'm kind of trapped with the kids, right? In the house, not trapped with the kids, but trapped in the house with the kids. And so I'm like, man, we should get another car, and that way, if you're at work, I can still go and hang out with the kids, go and bring them for ice cream to the park, whatever. Not 20 minutes later, I'm scrolling through my phone, and I get all these car ads. And I haven't seen a car ad in forever, because we bought our vehicle, years ago now, and I don't even talk about cars. I'm not a car guy. Right. So why am I getting car ads all of a sudden? And then my wife said the same thing about a toothbrush that she was looking at, not maybe a month ago or so. It's like, yeah, look, and here it is. It's on my phone. That's weird. So right. I'm pretty sure it was released somewhere. I'll have to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure it was released that they definitely do use vocal cues for ad sponsorships.
But here's another thing, and yeah, they probably do on some level. But what this particular section of this book talks about is, remember how there used to be big flashy banner ads at the top of every website?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What they realized is that those don't do anything. They're
Thankfully.
ineffective. They're ineffective. They
and
don't.
Annoying.
Right. They don't generate traffic. What does generate eventual traffic are 6-second ads that appear in random places because they affect us psychologically more than the big flashing neon sign, right?
Makes sense.
And that by, and what this looks like is the Google algorithm says, well, I know that this person, based on their search history, makes roughly this much money in a year. Based on their IP address, they live in roughly this neighborhood or this exact house. A little while back, I was pitched aggressively by this basically quant company that came and said, we will drive traffic to your business. And the way that we do that is by forcing psychological cues on people. Right? We will actually provide you a list of phone numbers to call of people that have gone through the search process through searching online, that it wouldn't be directly related to your product, but they will be interested in talking to you about it based on the psychological cues that we've pushed to them by them paying attention to other things that are unrelated to this thing.
Like if this was 1980, yeah, if this was 1980 and a company approached you like, hey, we're going to psychologically, indoctrinate your future customers by, you'd be like, dude, don't do like that. You're going to go to jail. Now they do it, and you're like, yeah, that sounds about right. And how much does that cost? $2.99. Okay, yeah.
$300. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, fine. Yeah, go ahead, run an ad. Man, it's so nuts. And so that's the stuff we know about, right? So what is it that we don't know about? And this is where I know a lot of people. Did you go into that AMC Say Yes thing?
I
Uh,
did,
you did, eh?
and
So
I've
I could.
and I've since deleted it. But
Yeah. Well, I'm Canadian. I couldn't do it. None of us that I knew of could. Apparently, there was a workaround, but I guess it hadn't fallen into my purview
right,
before the thing was up. But yeah, with Robinhood buying it, like first off, that's so sketchy. Oh, getting a lot. There's a big rush of sound in your mic.
uh, I it's not me. I'm actually looking at my audio input, and my
Oh,
it's
weird.
not moving if I'm not talking.
Maybe it's my headset. Anyway, so yeah, when they bought Robinhood, it went away now, by the way.
Okay.
When they bought when Robinhood bought the Say Yes thing, like kind of too convenient, right? To me, it was like, oh, come on. That quickly they snapped up what Adam Aaron was using to kind of get some information on his company. Like that, to me, that says too convenient. And I'm a very big believer in where there's smoke, there's fire. And this was like a smoke and fire scenario. I'm like, oh, I was thankful I couldn't do it because I didn't want my information getting leaked. And like we're saying, we have full, on scale or on display companies admitting, like, here's what we do to psychologically manipulate your customers as long as you pay us a subscription fee. What is it that they have available to them that we don't hear about? And that's what worries me about just the financial market as a whole. Where else are they putting things down that we're not aware of? I think my light just went out.
You're back to your mysterious look.
Yeah, now I'm all like Mysterio. This is cool. I don't know why that light went out. Oh
Give
well.
us your Dr. Claw impression again. That was pretty solid.
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Well,
Next time.
Hey, 10 points if you can name the cat.
uh,
You always let the cat afterward go.
uh,
Got
see,
this. I believe in you.
it's the damn Smurfs cat that keeps coming to mind, but that's not it.
Oh.
That's Azrael, by the way. But
Yeah.
I
Mad
do
cat.
not. Okay. Yeah.
Mad cat.
Yep.
Still simple. Everybody forgets it. I don't know why. What's upsetting that light went out though? Let me see here. Yeah, I don't know.
That's all right. You could be the Dark Man. It's all good.
Just move over here if I can get some light on me here.
I think I just found the thumbnail.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, just like Mr. Mysterio. Well, sorry guys, my light went out. That's just the way that goes.
Well, there we go.
I'm gonna buy a new light. Damn it.
Are you on a laptop?
Yeah, so I'm on a laptop, but I use like I don't use a laptop cam. The laptop cams are awful.
If you would like to turn around, the ambient light coming through your window will probably
That's what it's
illuminate your
gonna do.
face.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna do. Actually, let me see. Do, do, do.
Oh, there you are. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're human
Oh,
again.
there's my wife and kids up there.
Now,
You guys.
there's the wise.
Yeah. So yeah, so what worries me is actually all the just the psychological stuff that they're going to have moving forward. I know a lot of people want this to be over soon. I kind of don't think that's going to be the case, though. I think it's going to be a long, drawn-out process, and like I want to make sure people know that you got to have some mental fortitude moving forward to kind of put up with all what's going to happen because they ain't going to give up billions of dollars for free. And if anybody that thinks they are, that's just an insane thought to have, right?
Well, personally, I've reached a point in my existence where I don't care if it's $22 or $75 or $8 or $105 because I think each one of these shares is worth so much more than that
Oh yeah,
that
absolutely.
it's irrelevant.
Yeah, but then there has to be a limit of sanity too. And we were talking about this in one of the spaces. Excuse me. I said to everybody, like, and again, not to spread FUD. It's not a FUD thing. It's just like a realism. Is take your number because there's a lot of people that have really magical numbers in their head. Take your number and then multiply that by how many shares are out there, and see what that number comes to. And it turns out that it's greater than the GDP of every country combined. So that's not going to happen. It couldn't physically happen. There's just not that much liquidity around. So there has to be some application of realism. I think why these numbers are a good thing though. When people say, AMC to 2 billion, like okay, it is, but there is a good side effect of that, and that is the hype machine, right? So, uh, just like they have a hype machine on the financial side, or rather, an anti-hype machine where it's like, oh, you're going to lose all your money, everything's going to drop down to zero, it's not going to be good. Sell now, sell now. We have the hype machine going, no, no, $1 million now. Oh, you said no? Okay, now we're going to say $5 million is the floor. And so even though I think most people know that's unrealistic, um, we have the counter to their psychological manipulation that they really didn't see coming. Like, they still bought. We drove it down. They still bought, and now they're saying they want more. God damn it! Like they're getting almost, I'm sure, as equally as frustrated as we are. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have those hype machines. Um, I'd argue
Well,
it's better.
if you want a good example of the psychology that is going to fix all of this, the mental place that's going to fix all of this. A good example would be Rich Greenfield.
Yeah, that's a character, eh? Fun guy.
He came out, back in I don't know, February or March, running his mouth about a 1 penny, 1 penny price target, and bring on the trolls, and talking all this trash, Gasparino style now. And Gasparino's about to be on the same boat, by the way, because he's going to get real tired of us.
Oh.
And he's going to cease to exist, and he's going to get fired the rate he's going. But
I almost feel bad with Gasparino because it's like a man going through his midlife crisis. Like, he's posting all these photos. Even when I was in my early 20s, I was in great shape. I never once posted a photo of me like working out and doing lift. I think I commented it on one of your Twitter things too. Like, why don't you go ahead and post photos of yourself working out, looking angry too? And like, only men who are having life crises. Crises? That sounds too many S's. Anyway,
crises,
having a life crises. There we go. Only a man having one of those crises is the kind of man to post these things and talk like this and do this. It kind of gives him, I guess, some small self relevance or relevance rather. Like, he feels like this is, and I kind of feel bad for them. Same with Greenfield. Like, have you seen how much they have aged since all? Like, oh man, he may as well be a president.
But what got me about Greenfield, and it was hilarious to me, was we drove him bonkers.
Oh yeah.
He asked us to, right? He said, "Bring on the trolls," and then he got the trolls.
What's that called? The Barbra Streisand effect? Like, you tell people to stop, and they're just going to do it more.
Right.
And
his response to that was, Adam Aaron condones everybody because he follows some of these people that are mean to me, so he must think it's okay. And then Gasparino comes out and, Adam Aaron, what do you have to say about this? Do you condone all this? And Adam Aaron was like, look, people are going to do whatever they're going to do, and I don't have any control.
The hypocrisy is rich. Yeah, and the hypocrisy is rich. Don't they both now? Both Gasparino and Greenfield, they both have some sort of connection to streaming services.
Yeah, both of them. Both of their wives run streaming services that nobody's ever fucking heard of. Yeah. But
hey, you know what we should do? We should start a streaming service. I hear they're doing really good.
Yeah, they're apparently doing so well that
But I mean, there's so much money behind big streaming services. What was that other one? Quora or something like that came out, and then it was out for a month and it dropped, and that one had billions invested in it. Probably, I don't know, that's not a true number, but I'm assuming millions at least, and it flopped. If you're not one of the big players, if you're not a YouTube, an Apple, unless you already have the customer base, you're not going to have a good subscription service run.
I mean, HBO Max is doing great, Netflix is doing great, Amazon Video is doing great, but they have content. Right?
Yeah, and they already have the subscribers too, right?
Right. So, I mean, there's really like 5 big streaming services that are doing anything of note, and the rest of them are barely scraping by, and most of them are running at a loss. I mean, even Netflix runs at a loss.
I don't know, man, but I think Greenfield should try and seek some sort of sponsorship from like a skincare company or something, because he's aging like a raisin, that guy, a grape out in the sun. Like from when I remember the photo I saw the first time I saw him, he looked young. I thought he was like early 40s. Now he's like looking damn near 60 in a matter of like 8 months. The poor guy. Just go
The
and try and
poor
get some.
guy.
Well, and
You
again,
know,
I say poor guy in that like you brought it on yourself. But like man, they when do you
well,
stop?
and when you, and that's the thing, right? Is these people push it and push it and push it and push it and push it. Gasparino's doing it consistently. He's responded to my tweets like 50 times. How
Yeah,
do you have time for that? How do you
no,
have time for that, Gasparino? Get a job.
no,
The
no.
one
He's
you have clearly isn't taking up enough of your time. Get a
and
job.
and again, what exactly is like his employer's side of all this? Like, are they going like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You can do that. Oh, you called them a bunch of whatever? Yeah, yeah, that's cool. You can do that. If
Well,
I represented my company in such a way that I called somebody anything outside of a political normity, um, I'd be fired immediately. Never mind. He goes on there and does all these crazy things, posts half naked photos of himself working out, and this
it's
company's like,
weird.
yeah,
It's
we're into it.
weird. He acts like a 19-year-old blowhard, gym bro,
Yeah.
and he doesn't even have the statistics to be able to claim any of that stuff.
I
Oh,
saw something about a fake
what?
Pulitzer too. Did he?
What?
Was that something?
Yeah, yeah. At one point, he was saying he was a Pulitzer nominated something.
Mm,
Like, no,
weren't
you
we all?
weren't. No, you. And that's when I said I was a Pulitzer nominated tweetist.
Yeah, yeah. I won the Nobel Peace Prize too.
Don't check it out. Just take
Yeah,
my
yeah.
word
Don't check
for
it
it,
out.
bro.
It was me and Jesus Christ back in high school. We did it together.
Yeah,
But don't look into it. Yeah.
yeah. Don't use Google or anything.
No, no, no. Don't do that.
I think my favorite moment with Gasparino is when I found this article of him at some dinner that he
Hmm.
was supposed to be reporting on, and apparently he got a little too drunk and he was a little too belligerent and he was being a little bit too much of a douche with everybody, and he was trespassed off the property. and
Doesn't sound
he
like
ended up
Gasparino.
and he ended up and he ended up reporting from the side of the street because they wouldn't let him into the thing he was supposed to be reporting on.
Desperate.
They wouldn't let him inside.
Desperate. Poor guy, though. I mean, to what we're gonna look back on this maybe in 5 years and be like, oh man, the apes did that to him. Like, what is he gonna be like in 5 years? Who knows? Uh,
Yeah. I'm going to take this moment to apologize, actually.
yeah, can we just have a moment of silence for Gasparino's future?
Oh, no, I'm not apologizing for anything. I just want to apologize for nothing.
Yeah,
There's my McGregor moment. But,
yeah.
but
Your
yeah,
wife's in my DMs.
it's fascinating to me to watch the financial media and how they sort of aggressively attack one stock. I mean, they spend
Yeah.
more time on one stock than they do on the rest of the market,
Oh, and that's the thing too. And
or
I've
any
talked
other
about
one
it.
stock anyway.
I've talked
And
about it too,
why?
where it's like, my whole life, everybody says, "Oh, you should get into the market." When you get into the market, you got to hold your position, have faith in what you do, and believe in what you've researched, and hold a good portfolio, and hold and hold and hold and hold and hold. And then you go in, you buy it, you're like, "Okay, I'm going to hold." They're like, "No, no, don't do that though, but not this one." Oh, no, don't do that. It's like literally telling us the opposite of everything we've ever been taught ever.
Yep.
Don't do exactly like what we just told you to do. Do something different, so that they could lambast you for that. And then so there's a couple of, and I don't know their names. I'll have to look them up, but a couple of the older investing guys that are making the rounds as it pertains to AMC now. And they're saying like, oh, if these dumb apes are just crying now, they're crying every time they lose money. First off, we haven't lost money. We're up. I'm 400% up
A
still.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not crying when we lose money. We're crying because we haven't got enough yet. That's the difference. But no, they keep talking about it like, article after article after article, video after video, newscast after newscast, and they realize we're not the ones crying here. We're just holding a stock. They're the ones going on national TV saying we're crying all the time. Like it's the hypocrisy is just insane. Like they go on every newscast and cry about the apes, whilst calling us the criers. And so, like to me, I know that's the signifier. That's how we know we're winning. Um, we just got to remain steadfast with our convictions. Hold the stock. That's
Well,
all.
and that's where I'm at is, I goof off on Twitter.
Mm.
I say crazy things on Twitter. I
Yeah.
know I do. And sometimes people probably get a little offended by some of the crazy things that I say. And to those people, whatever. I don't care. Be
You know, the
offended.
funny thing about being offended is when you get offended, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Well, I
Nothing
looked into it.
happens.
I actually performed an experiment. I went and got offended once, and yeah,
And nothing happened. Isn't that weird?
nothing happened. Yeah, it blew my mind. But I thought just all the talk about it, something would have happened.
Well, the difference between me and some other people is there are only a few things that you can do to really piss me off, right? Words don't really hurt me. It's threats that get me.
Yeah.
You know, I've had people say comments about my wife and my children, and that's where I'm probably gonna find you.
Yeah.
And
No, you get numb to them. In my family, we grew up, but that was the dinner table. You get threatened at the dinner table.
Yeah, that's different though. But
Yeah.
when yeah, okay, I just turned into Jay Leno for a minute there.
Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah.
But I'm a little bit more crafty than I'm sometimes made out to be. I kind of got the biker look, and the long hair and the big beard and the tattoos and whatever. And people just by virtue of that seem to assume that I have an IQ of roughly 73, and that's not the case. And when I get these people that want to start those games, play those games, I'm a lot more cerebral than people would expect me to be. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the good thing too is like analyzing yourself down and figuring out who you are in all of this right now, and being able to kind of guess what has happened, or like guess where you're going, personality-wise, based on the things you've been through, is good too. It shows that you're a thinker, like you have the ability to self-analyze, and I think that's something that a lot of people, not only as it pertains to AMC, but in life these days, are missing. Is like that ability to stop, look at yourself, and judge yourself for a minute. And are you being a piece of shit? Because if you're being a piece of shit, well then, you might be a piece of shit.
Hey, you know what? I've had those moments in my life.
Oh, and I've been a piece of shit before too. Absolutely.
I've definitely done piece of shit things in the past.
Yeah, I might do some more later too. I don't know. Who knows?
I'm gonna try not to.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the goal.
But I think about who I was as a 25-year-old sometimes.
I would have kicked.
I'm not
I
even
would
that
have
guy.
kicked my ass. I would
I'm
go
not even
back
that
right
guy
now.
anymore.
No. I think Joe Rogan had a great thing. He said, "Of course people change, right? Of course people change. If we didn't change, we'd all still be shitting our pants and crying ourselves to sleep." And yeah, I mean, if I go back to 28-year-old me, even 25-year-old me, 18-year-old me, I don't like that guy.
You say
But
that,
I mean,
and it reminds me of Mike Tyson. Did you ever see the video of Mike Tyson where a reporter was kind of hammering him about something that he said back in like 1988 or something?
Oh no, I know what you're referencing. You're referencing the one where he got close the door, buddy, because he got charged with some sort of assault, and the reporter was saying, "Yeah, aren't you a convicted felon? And won't this really affect you?" You're a piece of shit. Really a piece of shit. Yeah, I do remember.
It's not that one, but that one was good too.
Yeah.
In this one, the guy was just hammering him about something he said or did when he was 19 or 20 years old. He says,
Okay.
I'm 42 years old. You really want me to keep answering for stuff I said when I was 19?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
And so you look about the same age, or a little older than me. I'm 36, but I grew up without internet for a good portion of my life. You know, the majority
I'm 42. I'm 42.
Yeah, so we had to knock on doors and we had to go around, and I can't tell you how thankful I am that that's the case. I would not want to grow up right now. Fresh, everything documented. Oh.
No. In fact, I mean, my kids are smart enough that they don't put their entire life on Facebook and Twitter, and they don't post every picture they ever take of themselves, and when they communicate with people, they're like, "Why don't you call me on the phone?"
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation.
I'm even like sparse to text people. I don't like text because then it's documented. I'm like, if I'm gonna text and talk to people, I may as well just talk to them, right? That's what I like.
My wife and I have been together since 2002, right? And so I got to skip the Tinder and the whatever else is out there, and I am so glad that I don't have to worry about any of that nonsense.
Yeah, I think I was 16 and my wife was 15 when we got together. We were high school guys.
Wow.
We've been together forever.
That's awesome, brother.
Yeah, we've been there forever. We grew up together, so it's not me. It's not me,
That's
or it's not my
awesome.
wife. It's me and my wife all the time now, which is nice because I wouldn't want to have to play the game today. Not at all.
No, and it wouldn't be fun.
Oh,
It's
no. And it sounds
miserable.
like it's not. Hey, listen, man. Speaking of my wife, she does have to go to work, and I have to then commandeer the kids and play with them in a pool. But I had a
Yes,
really good time doing this. We should continue this at another point. I
I
think.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. So let's cap this thing off.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm really glad that you came in here.
Yeah. Me too.
I've enjoyed talking to you. Every time I've interacted with you on Twitter, I really enjoy our interactions.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's been fun, man. It's awesome. I'm very happy you invited me. This is cool.
yeah, and I'm really super glad to have you. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Well, you're very welcome. I really would though like to do it again. These conversations are great. I like these long form ones.
Yeah, and we kept it under an hour, so we're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think now's a
Cool.
good stopping point anyway. But it was really good to have you. And yes, we'll definitely do it again. I'm sure there'll be some big news thing or some big stupid argument for people to have this weekend over absolutely nothing
No,
like we do every weekend.
that's always on Sundays, right? Isn't that tomorrow? We got all day
Yeah.
tomorrow.
So
Yeah, we're
once
good.
that gets started, I'm going to call you
Yeah.
tomorrow and we can talk about that.
Sounds good to me, man. I look forward to it.
All right, brother.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All right. Good to see you, brother.